In 1979, the Skylab space station fell out of orbit. Most of the debris burned up during re-entry. However, some of it crashed on Earth. NASA said they covered every piece, but they were wrong. In 2007, in Western Australia, Inus drives his bike to a gas station in the middle of a sandstorm and calls biochemist Martins, who is currently in Italy. Inus desperately explains he's tried to talk to several people at NASA, and everyone keeps ignoring him. He tells her that the locals are dying because something came out of the Skylab stack that crashed in Australia 18 years ago. Martins tries to ask for more details, but the storm gets worse and ends the call. 27 hours later, Martins arrives at the same gas station and meets Major Robert and Lieutenant Triney, who work for the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, or DT. Martins tells them that the tank was sent to the satellite with a parasitic fungus that could adapt from one species to another. However, she doesn't think that fungus is what came out of the tank now. She points out that nobody has been in this area since Enno's phone call, implying everyone is dead. After Martins injects herself with medicine in case of lethal allergens, the three of them put on hazmat suits and start searching Theria with their body cams on. Triney wonders why NASA sent a hazardous organism to space. So Martins explains they wanted to develop an antifungal mutation for astronauts. The group counts 14 homes and 12 cars, but not a single person. Eventually, they find Thatink, and Martins notices that the locals tried to clean it with a fluoric solution made of potatoes and dish soap. It's located in a building called Skube Museum, which has tons of old newspaper articles about the fallen satellite. Using a magnifying glass, Martins finds microfissures and realizes that the potato mix leaked into the tank, so it's the fungus. With just a little water, it could easily multiply. On one of the fissures, Martins notices a green stain. She asks Robert to hold her while she takes a closer look, and confirms the green fungus has grown and mutated. Suddenly, the fungus moves and lunges, so Martins steps back in fear. At that moment, Triney announces she's found a body. So Martins goes to join her without realizing that there's some fungus stuck on her boot. It cords through the sole and moves into the hazmat suit. On a roof, they find a body with the entire chest cavity torn open. All the skull plates are split, too. Robert looks around and discovers the locals are dead on the town's roofs with the same injuries. Martins theorizes that the fungus made them climb to the roof and wait to burst. That way, it could multiply and spread. Suddenly, the dead man's head cracks and reveals all the fungus inside. Then Martins returns to the tank to get a sample while explaining that something like a spore must have penetrated Theshel after re-entry, which means a new species has been born. Once the sample is secured, the group gets going. As the fungus enters Martin's body, she starts feeling hot and smelling burnt toast inside her suit. Soon, dizziness makes Ithard to walk, and she pukes green fungus into her helmet. Then the fungus takes over her brain and repeats the word spread. Martins rushes to get in the car and Triney pulls out her gun, but Robert pushes her when Martins drives toward them. The vehicle hits him and hurts his back, so he can't move. When Martins tries to steal the gun, Triney fights her for it, to no avail. With the gun in hand, Martins steps away from the agents and gains a short moment of lucidity, realizing what she's done. Martins disconnects the air tube from her suit and shoots into the hole, choosing to self-deal it to stop the fungus. A few hours later, the army arrives in Town to retrieve the sample. After they leave, the whole town is blown up. The sample is then taken to a secure facility in Kansas where it's left in cold storage. As years pass, the facility is abandoned or rented without much care. In 2026, the facility is Astridge Company. One morning, Travis comes to work and is harassed by manager Griffin, who wants his help with his plan to rob the building. Travis turns him down, so Griffin threatens him until Travis agrees to at least open the door for his gang. Later in the evening, Mary comes to see her unit. Travis is friendly and tries to chat with her, but is in a hurry. After he takes her tough elevator, he hears a beeping noise, but thinks it's nothing. In the storage unit, Mary pulls out a gun from a boot and looks at a picture of her dead husband to wish him a happy anniversary. She raises the gun to self-D. But she can't do it, so she decides to take a nap first. Then Travis hears the beeping again, so he uses the intercom to call his new co-worker, Naomi. She comes to the lobby, but she doesn't hear the noise. When they introduce themselves and shake hands, she notices his tattoo. At that moment, Naomi gets a call and has a quick argument before hanging up. She then hears the beeping noise. In North Carolina, Robert is awakened by a call from the government. After assuring his wife that it's okay, he opens a safe to retrieve his old satellite phone and calls his old base. Abigail explains that they got a temperature breach alert from a decommissioned facility. Robert is angry because he tried to warn his superiors that the weather could affect the storage multiple times, but nobody listened. Since he's now retired, he'll need equipment and clearance. Abigail hesitates to grant that request. So Robert tells her that this is the situation that she sacrificed her personal life for in a moment to truly help the innocent. In the facility, Travis and Naomi realize that the noise is coming from behind a wall. When Naomi gets another call, she ignores it and explains it's her kid's father. Then she says she wants to break the wall to find the source of the noise, but Travis refuses because he doesn't want to lose his job. Naomi can tell his tattoo is from prison and guesses he's on parole, so she begs until he agrees. Travis brings some tools and breaks a hole in the wall to reveal a room with a huge computer. He goes inside to take a closer look, but it's Naomi who realizes this is a control panel that monitors temperature. After breaking more fuel, she joins Travis in the room and tells her that this building used to be military storage. There's a map on the wall, and Naomi takes a picture. As she notices that there are lower levels. She wants to see them, but Travis doesn't. So once again she starts begging. Travis finally snaps and shares that he spent his life being easily agreeable with other people, which is how he ended up in prison. Naomi apologizes for being pushy, and Travis realizes she investigate with her without him, so he agrees to go with her. The duo takes the elevator and follows the map to find a door in the janitor's closet. It appears to be sealed, but a quick kick opens it, and they find another hidden room. When they step inside, an alarm rings for Asakand. They look around and notice lots of equipment from the 70s, including hazmat suits. At the end of the corridor, they find the ladder in Trancheto, the lower levels. A look inside reveals it's around 500 feet, so Naomi makes Travis go first. In the lower levels, the duo finds a door that says DTR access only. Since they don't know what the DT is, they open the door anyway. On the other side, there's a sealed chamber and a big pipe with freezing water. In a corner, there are air rats covered in fungus and struggling to move because all their tails are stuck in a knot. Some of them are even eating each other. While Travis steps away from a lunging rat, Naomi looks through the window on the chamber door and sees the fungus spreading on every wall. There's also some fungus on the door, but when she's about to touch it, Travis stops her. After Naomi mentions that the door is hot, the duo agrees to leave. Outside, Mike parks his car and hits the steering wheel in frustration. Then Hester's at his gun before calling Naomi. Revealing he's the father of her kids, she doesn't pick up. So he leaves a voicemail complaining because she has been taking his calls and explaining that he's in trouble. Hearing a noise coming from his trunk, Mike goes to check and is startled by the door moving. When he opens the trunk, he discovers that the cat he thought was dead is actually alive. Mike apologizes for shooting him, only for the cat to turn around and reveal he's missing half off his face because of the fungus. Ithises at Mike and jumps out of the trunk to puke fungus on the ground. Thackett then climbs to the roof and goes up the antenna where he self-dees. After the antenna impales his head, the whole body explodes, and the infected blood falls on Mike and some deer nearby. The fungus immediately rushes to Mike's brain to make him collapse and throw up for several minutes. Then it orders him to find more people, which Mike understands is find Naomi. After grabbing his gun, he enters the building with an infected deer following him. On a DTR plane, Robert is watching the video of Martin's death. At that moment, he gets a call from Wesley, who has become the new leader of their division. Wesley thinks Robert is obsessed with a closed case and is now overreacting to it as probably just a broken circuit. They have a short argument before they hang up. Then Abigail calls Robert and explains she's read his report from the Australian incident, so she's on his side. Robert gives her a message for Trini that mentions item 7 and explains his line isn't safe, so she'll wish to be the one who calls. When Wesley sees Abigail talking on her personal phone, she pretends she's talking to her boyfriend about a pregnancy scare to get him off her back. At the facility, the duo searches the acronym on the internet and learns that it means Defense Threat Reduction Agency. When they step out of the janitor's closet, they're shocked to see a deer taking the elevator. Travis wonders how this could have happened. So a flashback shows the details. Years ago, the fungus broke out of its containment and moved through a hole in the door. A few hours ago, a roach attacked the fungus and ended up infected as well. A rat tried to catch it, and the fungus got stuck on its nose too. The roach climbed into the vents and minutes ago made it to the street where Mike's car crushed it. The fungus moved up the tires and sneaked into the trunk to revive the dead cat. Travis and Naomi rush back to the lobby, only to see the deer coming out of the elevator. When it sees them, it comes running after them. Naomi pulls Travis out of the way, right before the deer explodes. The antlers fly off and get stuck in the wall. Then Mike also comes out of the elevator, and Dad admits he shot his parents' cat, whom Naomi was very fond of. He pulls out his gun as he yells at the duo, asking them to open their mouths because he wants to throw up in them. Travis and Naomi run away as Mike opens fire, and the gunshots wake Mary up. Hearing Mike coming after them, the duo runs to hide inside a random storage unit. Unfortunately, the door is jammed and they can't close it all the way. Mike walks down the corridor without noticing them. However, an object falls on the floor behind him. Travis quickly brings it into the unit and Mike leaves without seeing anything. The duo is relieved to be safe. However, when Travis steps back, he accidentally bumps into a bunch of objects and makes lots of noise. Soon, Mike returns and tries to reach inside the unit, so the duo works together to push the door down and, finally, close it. Mike has to pull out his bleeding hand, which now has several broken fingers. Then, Naomi searches the internet for a number they can call for help. At the airport, Robert is picked up by Trini, who tells him they need to make a stop to get item 7 before going to the crime scene. At that moment, Abigail calls Robert and informs him that she has a civilian from the facility on the other line. She connects both calls, and now Naomi can't tell Robert what happened while Mike keeps pounding on the door. After realizing that the fungus is finding new ways to spread, Robert promises he'll beat the facility soon and gives Naomi instructions. Nobody has to touch the fungus. They must stay hidden, and they mustn't talk to anyone who isn't Robert or Abigail. After Robert hangs up, Trini says that the duo will probably. While Travis and Naomi argue if the fungus infection counts as a zombie, they hear a noise outside. It turns out Griffin has arrived with his gang to rob a storage unit. When the group goes inside, they see the deer's body in the hole in the wall. So Griffin grabs Thundercom to threaten Travis for ruining his business. Afterward, they go to Astrid's unit to steal a bunch of TVs. Meanwhile, Robert and Trini climb over a fence and break into a house where they open a chest to find item 7. On their way out, they're blocked by the house owner who has a weapon. However, this is Trini's son, so she distracts him with some affectionate words, and the duo gets to leave the house without much trouble. Outside, Robert scolds Trini for keeping something so dangerous in a civilian house, but Trini doesn't see the issue and hugs him. She asks him to leave alone because she's too slonny-waddies, so she'd only get in the way. While driving, Robert talks to Abigail and tells her that if it rains, the fungus will spread too quickly to be stopped. He wants satellite reconnaissance because any infected vine will have abnormal heat signatures in the radar. Abigail will have to ask for some favors to gain access to it. In the facility, Travis wants to leave, but Naomi says it's too dangerous. They argue, and this time, Travis wins, so they leave the unit. As they sneak around the corridors, they see that Mike's body is getting worse. Soon, Mike finds half of the robbers in Anna's unit and throws up fungus all over their faces to infect them. Then he closes the door to keep them trapped until the fungus gains control. Afterward, Mike sees Travis and Naomi and starts chasing them. When he's about to reach them, he's shot in the head by Mary, and his body explodes all over the corridor. Mary wants to take the elevator, but Travis hears Griffin coming, so he takes her to the stairs instead. Mary gives Sheen the gun before leaving. Griffin and Friedman go looking for Travis, while throws the gun away. The remaining thieves outside get tired of waiting, so they leave with a few TVs they manage to grab. Travis confronts the men and tells them to step away from Mike's body. In the closed unit, the infected thieves are starting to lose their minds and pound on the door. Travis tries to explain they're extremely sick, but Griffin wants him to open it anyway. When he tries to threaten Travis, Hess slips on the blood and accidentally fires his gun, shooting him in the arm. A wounded Travis slowly approaches the unit, but instead of opening it, helix it. Before Griffin can react, Naomi sprays him with a fire extinguisher. By filling the corridor with fog, she and Travis managed to run away. Friedman is tired of Griffin's incompetence and fights him for the gun, so Griffin punches him. Then he tells the robbers in the unit that they have his key, so they lift the door just enough to return it. When Griffin opens the door, he's terrified to see thinnest state his friends are in. Friedman walks away in horror and slips on the blood, falling on the fingers and getting infected, too. Inside that unit, a thief says she doesn't feel well and explodes. When the duo comes out of the building, they finally meet Robert. After Abigail confirms they're both healthy, Robert gives them a gun and hazmat suits. He wants them to go back inside and set up item 7, which turns out to be a bomb. Travis freaks out at the idea of killing people, but Robert assures him that the explosion will be contained underground and points out that it's the only way to save fuel from the fungus. Robert will stay in the parking lot to stop any infected buying that tries to escape. After putting on the hazmat suits, the duo grabs the bomb and heads inside. Then, Robert starts slashing the tires of every car in the parking lot, so nobody can use them to flee. Abigail tells him that someone warm is approaching him right before Friedman appears behind him. Robert quickly kills him with a few shots, but turning around so suddenly is bad for his back and he collapses. After Friedman explodes, Robert shoots off bikes and causes a small fire. On the stairs, the explosion is heard by Griffin, who is trying to keep his infected friends under control with his gun. However, one of them runs back. Meanwhile, Travis and Naomi reach the chamber and discover that the fungus is now in the neighboring room, too. So they have to stop it before it reaches the pipe. When they put down the bomb, they're shocked to see that Robert already started it, so they only have 6 minutes to escape. As they start running as fast as possible, the countdown glitches, and the minutes go down faster. Outside, Robert notices that the fungus from Friedman's body is coming for him. At the same time, Griffin pushes the infected Robert toward the door, and Robert immediately shoots him down. He also tries to shoot Griffin, who rushes to hide inside. At that moment, the body of the infected robber sits up and speaks, so a terrified Griffin shoots him before going outside. When Griffin is about to shoot Robert, Trini arrives and kills him first. Meanwhile, Naomi and Travis find the way blocked by Thelist infected Robert. Naomi doesn't hesitate to shoot her down, and the two finally manages to leave the building. Trini raises her gun, but Robert assures her that they're clean. The group helps Robert move, and they get in the car to drive away as fast as possible. Then the bomb finally explodes, and it's so powerful that it's bringing down the terrain as well. Naomi pushes the car to its limits as she dodges falling debris sand, stays ahead of the collapsing ground. After a few seconds, the explosion finally finishes expanding, and the group escapes safely. At the base, Abigail doesn't see any red on the radar anymore, while an alarm announces a nuclear event. The next day, Wesley appears on the news and all their porters call him out for not taking fungus seriously. Abigail visits Robert at the hospital and thanks him for reminding her of why she joined the DTR. At the park, Naomi introduces Travis to her daughters. Meanwhile, in the woods, a deer throws up the fungus. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.